Well, it's time to learn. It's time to learn, my friends. So we are joined this evening by Sean, Mr. Sean G. Whelan, who those of you may or may not know gives an excellent talk on football and masonry. So, Sean, how the devil are you, my friend?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure and an honour to be here with you this evening. And one of them came up to me and he said, "I don't like football." He said, "But I'm going to keep an open mind." So I said, "Okay, that's fine." And he came up to me afterwards and he said, "I still don't like football, but I've found your talk incredibly interesting." And it is actually incredibly interesting, because that plaque you talk about on the wall outside, on Great Queen Street, that is where the rules of the game were written. Every Wednesday evening, they Ebenezer Cobb Morley met with 3 others and sat and wrote the rules to the modern game. Up to then, it was a colleges game. So you had many colleges, many private schools playing the game, and it was getting messy. It was getting a bit of a clique. So they wrote the rules of the game, the modern rules, and they formed the Football Association there and then, and they invited teams in. Out of those 12 teams, 8 of them had Masonic chairmen and links. So people like William Isaiah Bassett from West Bromwich Albion. There was people like John Holding from Liverpool, who was a founder member of Anfield Lodge, but he was also, although he was founder member of he was founder of Liverpool, the actual founding of the FA. Everton, he owned Anfield, and it was Everton that were one of the founder members. So John Holding actually he was a member of Anfield Lodge, he was a member of Everton Lodge, he was a 33-degree Freemason, and when Everton decided to break away over an argument with John Holding about the rent, Everton went across the park to Goodison Park, and it was John Holding that formed Liverpool Football Club. So the history is entrenched, and so it goes on. Wolverhampton Wanderers, every team has a Masonic link. So yeah, it really is there. So they wrote the rules, and even after they wrote the rules and formed these 12 clubs, 8 of them with Masonic links, they continued, and they still continue to be pioneers of the game. So, for instance, it was a Freemason who invented flags for linesmen. It was a Freemason that invented red and yellow cards for referees. It was a Freemason that invented black uniforms for referees. And also, I have to say, the Hawkeye, or as we know it, the touchline technology and VAR, we know had, the people that were involved in that had Masonic links. So we continue to be pioneers in the game. And we also took the game to the world. So, and this is what I was saying earlier, when they say football's coming home, if it does happen, it really is coming home. That song has got so much truth to it, because we not only invented the modern game, we not only wrote the rules, but we also took it to the world. So, for instance, we took it to South America, we took it to Argentina, we introduced the game to Argentina, and we introduced the game to Brazil. And they were all Freemasons that did that. So they were usually shipping merchants. One particular guy was the founder member of the Argentinian FA. He was an export merchant from Southampton. So Southampton Football Club has massive links with Brazil and Argentina. Everton went to Peru, and even today, Everton have got massive links with Peru. Liverpool went to Mexico, and it goes on. Stoke City went to Venezuela. So it's just incredible the amount of links that we have.
That's amazing. Like, beyond what we would think, you can really see how the connection between Freemasonry and football is really ingrained from the beginning. And throughout, as you say, you've mentioned some ways where Freemasons have sort of reinvented or evolved football as we know it today.
That's why they pay athletes these fantastic salaries. I was listening to the radio the other day. They just contracted to pay one player on one team $6 million a year. Can you believe this?
And why is that?
It's the Roman Circus. What does the emperor do when the people become restive, and when the people are asking questions, and when the people don't like the policies of the emperor? He sends them to the circus. He creates a circus. He builds a giant coliseum. And he begins to throw the Christians to the lions. And he has great chariot races and football games and basketball games, all to keep the idiots preoccupied with things that don't mean anything in the scheme of the entire world, so that they don't have the time to learn what the truth is, so they don't ever get smart enough to learn how they're being manipulated, so they don't ever question the emperor. That's why they pay a player on a football team or a baseball team $1 million or $2 million or $3 million a year. It is the Roman circus. I know men who don't know anything in the world except who plays third base for the Mets. And they think that's a great accomplishment. And they meet and pat each other on the back and bond and go have cocktails and talk about what this guy that plays third base for the Mets did in last night's game.